Was Carson Beck the problem in 2024? And that's a question I have for the audience. I would love to hear what people have to have to say about this, if they think Beck was the problem in 2024. I don't like what's happening with the Carson Beck discourse right now. I'll say that in UGA circles, like I don't. This is specifically UGA circles. Like I don't care what he's doing at Miami. You know, it's apparently it's not going that well at Miami. His car got broken into. He broke up with his girlfriend, from what I heard. You know, that's my secondhand knowledge. I don't know anything that's going on there. Maybe breaking up with the girlfriend's a plus. You know, maybe he's the one that called it off. I don't know. I don't know any of the details, so don't hold me to that. So I think I'm going to be called a Carson Beck apologist or something for this rant. But so to bring this all back, so Gunnar Stockton was asked this week if Carson Beck told him that he was transferring, and from what everyone's reported, Stockton smiled and he said he was busy. So nothing wrong with that. I think Stockton's probably just telling the truth, telling it like it is. And the way he said it, maybe he and Beck aren't boys. Maybe they're not that close. And now it feels like everyone else is now reading in between the lines. Now there's this narrative that Beck wasn't a good leader, a good teammate, and it kind of feels like Carson Beck is becoming the scapegoat for why UGA didn't win it all in 2023 or 2024. And like apparently he, I think it was Rusty Mansell reported, like, supposedly he didn't room with any of his teammates. Like he roomed with some of his friends, or like people that are kind of part of his, his like posse, his crew, whatever you want to call it. Like they kind of, it was kind of a whole team effort, getting this guy to the NFL. So he kind of just had like a team with him, is kind of how I heard it described. And even if that stuff's true, I don't think I still don't think that's the reason why Georgia didn't win it all in 2023 or 2024. Like, also driving a Lamborghini and having a famous girlfriend doesn't make you a bad teammate or a bad leader or something like that. So I hear a lot of narratives like that. The fact is, Carson Beck was elite in 2023. And did he have elite weapons? Of course he did. He had Ladd McConkey. He had Brock Bowers. So do basically every college quarterback that, like every college, so does basically every other college quarterback that balls out. Like, did Joe Burrow have elite weapons? Hell yeah, he did. They're basically the two best receivers in the NFL right now. Trevor Lawrence had weapons. Bryce Young had weapons. Mac Jones had weapons. Basically, every quarterback that's ever played at Ohio State has had 2 first-rounders to throw to. So it's not like just because he had good weapons, that means he wasn't a good player. Like, Beck was putting up big numbers, threw for almost 4,000 yards. Like, Beck was objectively elite in 2023. That's why he was getting the hype that he did in 2024. Like, Jalen Milroe in that Alabama offense being able to move the ball, as well as a questionable 4th down catch for Isaiah Bond in that 2023 SEC championship. Like, that's why Georgia lost that SEC championship. A turnover that, that the fumble on the reverse to Dylan Bell. Who knows if that's Beck's fault or Dylan Bell's fault. These things happen. But I just don't think, I don't understand that argument. Like, did Beck have his struggles in 2024? Of course. But my question is, did the 2024 team seem like a team that didn't have good leadership? Because I would argue they weren't actually that good, like relatively to like Georgia standards. Like, they're still a big time program, big time team, but it felt like they weren't actually that good. Like, we've watched a lot of good Georgia teams in recent years, and it felt like they weren't that good. And yet they just found ways to win. Like, that's kind of a team that has intangibles, that has leadership. So they almost every damn game was close. They had the toughest schedule in college football, and they went, 10-2 in the regular season, 11-2, won the conference. Like, I think that speaks to the leadership and like the cohesion of the roster of the team and everything, that they just found ways to win. So, like, is leadership important? Like, absolutely. Are intangibles important? Absolutely. But what's also important is tangibles. Like, tangibles are really important. And tangibly, Carson Beck was the best player on UGA's offense in 2024. Like, this team had 37 drops. These are tangible things. 37 drops. 102nd in college football in rush offense. The defense allowed 120 yards a game on the ground, gave up 200 yards rushing, I think like the last like 6 games of the season. Didn't have an elite pass rush, didn't have an elite secondary. Allowed I think over 20 points a game, I think this year for the most Kirby Smart team has allowed points per game since 2016. Like Carson Beck was the main reason that Georgia went 10-2 and got to Atlanta. So obviously Gunnar Stockton and the rest of the team stepped up and they found a way to beat Texas in the SEC championship, but they're not in that game without Carson Beck leading the SEC in touchdown passes this year. I don't think a lot of people realize that. He had his struggles, like I said, but so did the rest of Georgia's offense, and they struggled a lot harder than Carson Beck did. 37 drops. Imagine if Georgia dropped 17 passes last year. That's not even good. That's not even good having 17 drops. And who knows how many more first downs? Who knows how many more touchdowns Georgia scores if you cut the drops, in half or something like that. Like, so this idea that now, like this toxic teammate, like Carson Beck is gone now, and so it should be addition by subtraction. I just don't see it that simple. Like that simply. Georgia could be better in 2025, and this is not to disparage Gunnar Stockton in any way at all. But if they are better, it's because the defense, the run game, the wide receiver play, and all improved, not because of the leadership of the quarterback position. As far as I'm concerned, I see this narrative that's been building about Carson Beck, and I don't subscribe to it. It feels like you're kind of kicking a guy on the way out. Like, if he was a problem this whole time, someone should have said something. But as far as I'm concerned, he's, people are kind of, oh, this is why. Look, George, I know I saw some Twitter post of a fan talking about some autograph signing he didn't show up to. It's like, all these stories are coming out the woodwork. Maybe he's not the best guy. I'm not here to defend Carson Beck's character. I've never met the guy. I'm just saying on the field, Carson Beck was a good quarterback. And especially you look at what was around Carson Beck in 2024, like this dude needed a lot more help. The receivers were dropping a lot of passes. Georgia could not run the ball. I'm not going to state all the reasons over and over again. It was not an elite defense. And, Georgia still came damn close to achieving what they wanted to. And if Carson Beck is healthy against Notre Dame in the college football playoff, who knows what happens. I think that Georgia team was good enough to get to the national championship, even with all the flaws they had. And getting Notre Dame and Penn State, I don't think would have been. I think they definitely got the easier side of the bracket. So with Carson Beck, I think it's very likely that Georgia still would have gotten to the national championship game.